Very good evening to everybody. Thank you for joining us. It is Thursday, the 2nd of July. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Christopher Duigan coming to you from our home, Christopher Duigan at Home, in our next series of our live stream sessions. And tonight we have a very interesting, well, it's always interesting, but I think tonight we have a very special program. I'm feeling a little bit anxious, actually. A little bit anxious, a little bit, even one might say a little bit nervous, because I'm going to do something a little bit different but unusual this evening. So I hope you're going to enjoy the music. We are going to start, as usual, at 6 p.m. And in these next 10 minutes, I'm going to do the usual introductions to our program, to our series of live streams, offer you some opportunities in which you are able to support us, including a new concept we have tonight to present to you. And then also tell you a little bit about the program and a little bit of justification of what this is about and why I'm doing this. Maybe even a bit of disclaimer, it might be the right word, so that if it actually does, it does go wrong, and it all turns out to be a horrible mess, then we all weren't warned about it beforehand. So first of all, if you are able to support us with any financial donation, we would be very grateful. All those details you'll find at our website, musicrevival.co.za. Our stream is coming from Vimeo platform, and also you'll find it on our website. Do send many people to the YouTube platform in South Africa, simply because there are servers for YouTube in South Africa, and it seems to be the most reliable and predictable source of the stream in this part of the world. But if that fails, or if something doesn't work, the best thing is always to refresh your browser. You must bear in mind that the stream that we have going out of here is pretty dependable, it seems, because we have been doing this quite regularly now. But there are many issues that involve your internet connection, your computer, your HDMI cable, and your connection to your Bluetooth speaker, if you are using that. So it's always just good to refresh that and just to check what might be happening, and how the various instruments and ideas might be talking to each other on your side. As I said, I have a new possibility for you to support us this evening, and I'm going to show this to you now. I will also bring it back to you at various points in this evening. And this is a QR code, which is going to come up on the screen in a second. And this is going to offer you the opportunity to there we go. If you have your cell phone, there we go. We seem to be having this little delay on my computer this evening. Your cell phone, if you open your camera app on your cell phone and point that at the screen, either on your TV or on your computer, wherever it might be, then you will find that, in fact, the QR code should take you directly to a website, which is for Cricket, which offers you the opportunity to make donations there. There definitely seems to be something up, a little play on the images on my computer this evening. Let me know if that's working, if that can give you an opportunity to support us there. Pointing your camera at that, and that little QR code will take you directly to the website itself, Cricket website, which will give you an opportunity to support us on that. And otherwise, we are going to be starting our performance at exactly 6 p.m. Yeah. Okay. Right, we're back. We seem to be having a slight issue. We do have sound. We were just trying to have a little discussion here. We seem to be having a bit of an issue with some of the images and graphics and things, which I was looking forward to sharing with you this evening. And this amazing QR code, which I was going to share with you, is not going to happen. How about that? Much fanfare about nothing. How completely not interesting is that at all? Sorry about that. So it looks like we're just going to have image, but we've got image and we've got sound of just the music, and that's the important part, right? That's all that is going to matter. So I might try one or two things just to see as we go through the evening. It might settle down. There does seem to be something on my computer that's interfering, but it seems to be coming through. So let's just see who's on Facebook again. Guillermo Pryor, Ian Bailey watching, Barry Lovegrove, thank you for joining us. Joy Barton Maxwell. Yes, the sound is back. Franny, yes, we have got sound from Middelburg. Thank you, Margaret from Klempra. Thank you for joining us. Just a reminder, we're coming to you on various Facebook pages as well. Music Revival KZN, the Cape Classic Music Festival. And firstly, a huge thank you to everyone who has supported us. The live stream production, as you've seen in the last month, Kevin Liddell from Big Beat has been working furiously with me here in the last month, and we seem to have mastered most of the details. Something on my side seems to be going wrong this evening, but we've got all the important bits. And everyone has been incredibly generous with their funds that they've sent through on the EFTs and Yoko and on PayPal, Quicket, etc. And I'm very, very grateful for the support. It really has meant a huge amount to me, the encouragement, but also the support that it is making this happen. So we're very, very pleased to be able to bring you another in this series of live stream performances. I'm going to introduce the program tonight before 6 o'clock, but I probably will go a little bit over. So one of the things that I'm very interested about in the work that I do is that I have a very strong connection or link or possibility to connect with my audience. I don't wait for invitations from various concert organizations to play. I have my own concert series, and this involves a very, very direct interaction in terms of me doing the advertising, also taking the bookings by email or WhatsApp, or even for those of you who've never attended my concerts, I'm usually or very often running the doors. So I actually know and can greet everyone who attends the concerts. And through the fact that people are able to book and chat and talk to me before the concert, after the concert, on email, I really have a great sense of and a great privilege of being able to interact individually with those who are attending my performances, which I think is a great possibility, and it brings a very interesting interaction between myself as a performer and my audience. And the other thing is that I'm very interested in many different types of music. I'm interested in not only the classical repertoire, the sort of serious core classical repertoire. I'm interested in the lighter end of it, the popular end of it, the idea of ragtime, tangos, film music. There's so many different types of music, and I always say, as long as it's written well and exploits the piano in a positive way, I'm willing to play it. And so on a number of occasions, I've had concerts where either as the entire performance or as part of the event, I've thrown open the floor and I've addressed an audience and invited the audience to suggest to me pieces of music that they would like to hear, which of course is only possible. I have a lot of music, I have played a lot of these pieces, and a lot of it sits in my head, fortunately. But the real bonus about it is that people generally ask for the same pieces of music, because there are some very popular, well-known pieces, and certainly pieces with proper titles or popular nicknames are much more memorable, easy to remember. Someone can ask for the Moonlight Sonata or Clair de Lune rather than the Sonata K322, which doesn't have a very meaningful title at all. What I'm amazed by is the regularity of the same pieces of music which crop up, but also that I am often finding myself in these situations saying, yeah, that's a really nice piece, I'd like to play that, but I can't because it's not written for the piano, or I need an orchestra, or it's actually a song for voice, or it's not this, all that. And it makes me realize that, in fact, I'm sometimes being a bit of a purist about these things and saying, well, unless it's a proper piano piece, I'm not going to play it. And I'm also realizing that a lot of people would really like to hear this music, that distinction is not made for many people. So tonight, as I said, I'm doing something rather unusual. I'm breaking all the rules. I'm throwing caution to the wind, qualifying the program that I'm about to play for you. And I am going to play a selection of very well-known popular classical melodies, which are actually almost all not piano music. This is going to be a bit of a shock. It could actually not work. It could sound like I'm playing at a hotel. I could be a hotel lounge pianist sound coming out of this, but I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that it's going to be more interesting and broader and still include a great selection and the breadth of these beautiful melodies which are still part of the core classical repertoire. So I see it has gone 6 o'clock and I'm going to get on with this program. I've explained to you what I'm going to do and how this is going to work. If you're a pianist, a purist at least, and only listen to classical music in its proper form, then look away at this point because it's going to be a bit daring and a bit different. So, the very first piece of music, for those of you just joining us, welcome. It's just gone 6 p.m. It's Christopher Duigan here, coming to you from my home in Pietermaritzburg, my home studio. We're supported once again by Kevin Liddell, Big Beat. We've got a great selection of music for you. And I'm going to start this piece of music with the famous Toccata and Fugue in D minor by Bach. Now, everyone knows this very familiar piece. It's often been used in horror movies and soundtracks. It's that very recognizable motive that at the first 2 notes, everyone knows exactly the sense of drama that's going to unfold. This is a piece of music written for the organ by Bach. And we're very fortunate that many pianists, including in this case, Ferruccio Busoni, has made an arrangement for piano to try and conjure up that rich, dramatic, broad sound of the piece of music for the piano. It becomes a lot more complicated. And I'm only going to play the toccata itself and not the fugue. The toccata, for me, is a very interesting little concept. Toccata means to touch. And it really comes down to the fact that the instrumentalist would sit down at the instrument and, like any pianist or any organist, would sit down and play a few fragments of music to test the instrument, to get a sense of what the instrument is about. As organists and pianists, we don't have the liberty of putting our instrument in a case, carrying it under our arm, or in the case of a piccolo player, in your top pocket. We have to just deal with whatever instrument is thrown at us when we are playing in a new venue. So this idea of just playing a few phrases and a few ideas. For instance, when I sit down at a piano, I will play something like this at the piano just to try and some little, just to test the speed or the sense of brilliance at the piano. Or one of the things which is actually very useful is this very famous piece by Beethoven. Etc., etc., etc. So that little fragment there, as you heard from Beethoven's Piano Concerto No. 5, the opening flourish that the pianist plays is in itself a very good test to show off what the piano can sound like, and this is what it works. High notes, low notes, volumes, bit of brilliance, trills, loud and soft. So in this famous piece, which I'm going to play for you now, the Toccata from the Toccata and Fugue by Johann Sebastian Bach, arranged by Busoni, you will hear fragments, short motives of different things, scales, chords, big sounds, small sounds, in a very dramatic and very broadly scaled piece of music. That was a bit of drama, a good bit of dramatic presence to start the program this evening. The Toccata from the Toccata in Fugue in D minor by J.S. Bach, arranged by the Italian pianist Busoni, the first in our program this evening of pieces of music that are not for the piano. Popular melodies, beautiful music that is not originated for the piano and that I will be playing for you this evening. I'm going to go on to two beautiful, I keep using this word beautiful. Someone said to me, you use the word beautiful every sentence. So I'm going to go on to two magnificent pieces of music that are calm and gentle, the first of which is by Georg Friedrich Handel. Handel wrote an opera called Circe about the king of Persia, and in the opening scene, the king of Persia sits under a tree and sings how beautifully shaded he is on this hot day. And he, in fact, says, in the English, the translation of the words are, "Never was a shade of any plant so dear and more lovely or so sweet," which of course is such an incredible sentiment. I mean, what a wonderful being in the moment, being mindful, being thankful, thanksgiving of shade on a hot sunny day and how nature can provide comfort and protection for us. And of course, Handel's opera was not very successful. After 5 performances, it closed. It wasn't his greatest hit by any means. But sometime later, about 150 or 200 years later, this particular aria became very well known as an instrumental piece or as a sung item and is known as Handel's Largo. And Largo simply being the tempo indication. In other words, a piece of music to be played slow. It's a very restful and very blissful piece of music, which I'll play for you now. Obviously not for piano. Imagine the beautiful instrument, violin, oboe, or maybe even the original singer singing this magnificent melody with an orchestra. That was the celebrated Largo, Handel's Largo from his opera Xerxes, the opening aria, forgotten about, the opera closing after 5 performances, but subsequently become one of Handel's most celebrated compositions, and certainly a piece of music that I've been asked for many times. In a similar vein, I'd like to play a composition for you by the composer J.S. Bach, which has been arranged by several other musicians and pianists. And this is the very famous Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring, a very beautiful, recognizable melody. And in this, part of the idea of playing this music on the piano is that it really tries to embody the entire oral sonic picture, which actually involves an orchestra and a choir. I'll just give you a picture of this. The choir sing the hymn, the chorale. And the orchestra play the melodies in between. Which is really a wonderful combination, and it's very easy to play. Well, it's not really easy to play, but it's possible to play when they play separately. The problem as a pianist is that sometimes the orchestra and the choir play together at the same time. Now you've got a problem. You're trying to create the same sounds for the choir, and you're trying to create a different set of sounds for the whole orchestra. So it's a piece of music that really involves a lot of different layerings and a lot of different sounds from the instrument to create this effect, the impression of a choir and an orchestra at the same time. But a very moving and tranquilly beautiful piece of music by J.S. Bach, Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring. That was the arrangement of Jesu Joy of Mazarin by Harold Bauer, not the more traditionally played version by Myra Hess. Myra Hess arranged this, and her arrangement is often played by pianists, but this is another version I found. Thought it'd be interesting to hear some different voicings and some slightly different sounds in between. Wonderful piece of music there that brings together the idea of orchestra and chorus in this program, of beautiful classical melodies. I'm playing melodies that are not written for the piano, that are arranged, that I'm trying to just bring together the real joy of beautiful music in one evening. You see, there I'm going with the word beautiful once again. Magnificent music in one evening. So I'm going to go on to something now a little bit crazy, which is, in fact, really what I think most pianists and scholarly musicians would frown on me, I think, for doing this now. But I'm going to do it anyway. One of the pieces of music that is often requested, as I say, I've had sessions, public concerts, where I've asked the audience what they would like to hear in the concert, and to try and play these pieces of music. And that's why I'm playing all these assortments of melodies which are not traditional piano music in one concert. And so often people ask for, can you play something that's called like Mozart number 21? So Mozart's, of course we know what that is, and number 21, we're trying to figure this out, and it's the piano concerto, often known, the piano concerto number 21 is the figure that sticks out. This is the second movement from this beautiful piano concerto, and it's used in the film Elvira Madigan. For me personally, I have a recollection of this piece of music growing up in South Africa. It was used as an advert for the soap Badidas. Who remembers Badidas soap? And there was this beautiful image in a forest of a woman bathing in a glass bath in the middle of a forest. It was quite exotic, quite exciting to see this on TV. And there was this beautiful music by Mozart accompanying it. And I'm going to play this for you now. And of course, the unusual thing, yes, it is a piano concerto, but it's a concerto, which means there should be an orchestra playing with me, which of course we don't have. Kevin, you're providing? No, Kevin's not providing. He's pulling an orchestra out of his top pocket. We've got a backing track. No backing track tonight. We're doing things real. So a piano solo version, I'm going to just add in a few notes here and there of the orchestra part where I feel that they're really necessary. But also what's very interesting to hear this is to see what the piano part on its own sounds like without the orchestra. So for those of you who know this music, I'm sure you will be very intrigued to hear just what the solo piano part is and how sparse it is actually written. Something completely radical. I don't know if that works or not. I think it's a great piece of music. Really magnificent melody, the slow movement, the andante from often known as Mozart's number 21, the 21st piano concerto of Wolfgang Amadeus. The slow movement, also known as the Elvira Madigan theme because it was used in a film, and I always know it as the Badidas advert. It always reminds me of that beautiful, tranquil scene in the forest and just relaxing and lazing in a bath. How gorgeous is that image? So staying with the idea of piano concertos, in these programs, as I say, when I've asked people, well, what do you think I should play? Inevitably, if someone asks for the Tchaikovsky piano concerto, because it is really one of the most celebrated, fascinating, incredible pieces of music ever. And it also starts with this wonderful melody. Etc. I'm making it up and I'm getting it wrong. Well, the pianist doesn't really ever play the melody, so I'm entitled not to know it. What is intriguing about this piece of music is that many people don't realize that beautiful, that magnificent melody, that broad melody at the beginning of the piece of music actually never returns, which is really, in terms of a musical structural point of view, quite an anomaly. In fact, I don't know if it happens anywhere else. It's almost as though Tchaikovsky wrote a piece of music and they decided, I need an introduction. Let me create I've got this tune I haven't used for a while. Let me just put that on the top and the front, and then it'll all be grand. This beautiful, wonderful melody that happens in the beginning never returns in the entire composition. What was interesting about it is that the first presentation when Tchaikovsky presented this and played it and showed some of the ideas to Nikolai Rubinstein for the very first time, Rubinstein was absolutely lacking in interest and thought it was dreadful. Wasn't very positive about the piece at all. Tchaikovsky obviously being quite sensitive, perhaps at the best of times, but certainly about his great new piano concerto didn't take too well to this and was really expecting it to be an absolute flop. And of course, now that it is the most celebrated, one of the most celebrated melodies and the most celebrated composition of all time, is quite extraordinary. What I am going to play for you, I'm going to play the piano part of the opening section, just to show actually what the pianist does again, and what you all know as the melody is played by the orchestra and not by the piano. The piano does have a little bit of a moment to have it later on, and then plays this brilliant opening flourish of chords in a cadenza. This moment when the orchestra stops and the pianist plays through something like when you have a cadenza, you go off at a tangent, you have a moment of indulgence, of really free flight of intense emotion. That is a cadenza. Cadenza starts and then the melody comes back. So you'll see there are little fractions of silence here and there. When the orchestra should be playing, you'll hear me playing chords but no melody because there's no orchestra. attitude there, a bit of attitude required for the opening bars of the Piano Concerto No. 1 by Tchaikovsky. Another part of the program that I've played this evening of well-known pieces of music that are not written for piano, well, that requires a piano with an orchestra. So I hope interesting there to hear what the pianist does and what is missing when the orchestra is not around. It's a great privilege. I've played that piece of music several times with orchestra, and it's always a great privilege to be able to walk on stage and play those magnificent chords and really just to experience that wonderful moment of the depth and the gravity of those chords, really using the weight of your arms and your body while the orchestra play this magnificent melody. It's quite something extraordinary. Now, a piece of music that I don't play, and I never will, is a wonderful little composition which I'm going to play for you now by the composer Giacomo Puccini. And I'm going to have to look for it. Just give me a second, because I realize I have lost it in my vast library of scores. There we go. One of the most requested melodies of all time, O mio bambino caro. Many people think this is O mio bambino, oh my dear child, but bambino being father. It's a very desperate plea from the character, the young woman, who's pleading with her father to please let her marry the man of her dreams. He's not very wealthy, he's not very handsome, but he is the man that she loves. And she says at this point, if you don't let me marry him, you have forbidden me to, and if you don't allow me to do this here, don't change your mind, I'm going to throw myself off the Ponte Vecchio, which apparently is a very small little bridge. No damage would be done, if I'm getting it correctly. So this beautiful, wonderful melody, expansive melody, again requiring a soprano, requiring a wonderful singer. I'm going to be playing just a simple piano version for you tonight. O mio bambino caro, the aria from the opera Schicchi by Puccini. Not a piano piece at all, but I've played that many, many times with many, many sopranos, and it's always interesting to see how through all the technical complexities of sustaining the lines in that piece of music, they can still capture that innocence and that purity of spirit in that piece of music. So I'm going to have a quick glance at my Facebook for a minute just to see who's joining us. Daniel Carlitz, thank you, I see you here. Catherine Reardon, I hope you are doing well and you are snuggled up in bed and looking after yourself. Sue Fuller, lovely to see you here. Haven't bumped into you or made contact with you for some time. I hope you're well there. Andrew Gentile, again from New York, thank you for watching. Brigitte Simpson, thank you for all your support, very generous donations. Chris Duplessis, I think you might be watching from next door, and he's asking about, yes, that is a painting of me. So let me introduce at this point. I've had several questions in the Facebook and email correspondences that I have about the various details that you are seeing behind me. I had a good look at one of the earlier live streams that we did, and I see how it's all progressed and it's grown, and the forest of orchids has multiplied and it's developed into quite a little scene. So this evening, just to point out, we have a series of orchids. See, these orchids, we have a beautiful, someone asked me about the pots. The pots are in fact made by the same person that grows the orchid, and that is my partner Barry. Barry is a very multi-talented person, and apart from growing orchids, he decided, well, I can't find the right orchid pot that I need. And in his usual determined spirit, he goes off and makes what he wants. So he started making orchid pots according to his own regulations or his own requirements. And behind me, you'll also see this beautiful table. During lockdown, keep himself busy, I said I would really like some pots, some tables at least to put the orchids on, and hey presto, 2 or 3 days later these beautiful tables arrived that Barry made. And the painting that you see behind me is of me, also by Barry. Barry's painted very few artworks, very few paintings in his life, and he decided to paint that from a photograph which was taken at the Grahamstown National Arts Festival, which is actually on and not on at the moment. So the Grahamstown Festival is taking place, but no one's there. I think everyone's watching the festival virtually. So that beautiful painting behind me is from my partner Barry. He also, as I said, made the pots, made the tables, and grew the orchids. So thank you, Barry. A splendid contribution you're making to this wonderful scene and backdrop that we have for all of these concerts in the live stream this evening. Just once again, a reminder, we're very grateful to Kevin Liddell of Big Beat for supporting these current series of live streams. Unfortunately, I know that Kevin is not going to be able to do it for much longer. He has his own business to venture into, and which is going to be requiring a lot of attention. So in fact, this means that in order to keep this wonderful selection and this wonderful production up, we're going to be investing in our own audio-visual equipment. So if you are able to support us, please do keep donating. I know everyone has been incredibly generous. I'm very grateful with all the contributions that have come through, and I know that many people are really enjoying these wonderful regular live streams. Yay, it's Thursday. Chris is going to be playing for us, and I realize that there's nothing quite the same as having it live. Watching it 2 or 3 days after the event is just not the same. Everyone wants to see it as it happens. So live streams on Thursday at 6 p.m. and on Saturday at 6 p.m. I'm sorry that our graphics are not working. Let me give it a go. Maybe my computer's calmed down a little bit. And let's just see if this is appearing on the screen. No, it doesn't look like it is. Something has gone horribly wrong. Okay, well, if you're interested in following up the link with the QR code, then please do visit our website, musicrevival.co.za. An image will appear there, I know it's there, and you can just go straight to the Quicket site. There's a little embedded link, or scan it on your phone, and hopefully we'll be able to sort that technical detail out. Aren't computers amazing until they stop working? At this point in the program, I'd like to play an improvisation. It's always fun on a Thursday night concert to play one of my own pieces or an improvisation of some point. So I'm going to give it some thought, give the moment a little opportunity to arise, and carry on with a piece of music in a second. I'm even going to have a glass of water. one of our own improvisations, a spontaneous moment in the program, the selection of music that is not normally played on the piano. Well, that's not normally played because I've never played it before, so it's something a little bit different. I think I'm going to end this evening's program with a selection of music which is often asked for in the concerts. As I say, many times in concerts I ask the audience what they would like to hear. And it's a piece of music which is often known by a different name. Sounds very beautiful, but in fact it's quite complicated. It is the melody that people ask for is So Deep Is the Night, very famous melody actually written by Friedrich Chopin. And it's the third of his etudes, opus 10 etudes, a piece of music designed to develop a pianist's technique. And this is a series, brings me quite usefully into a series of notice of a series of pieces that I'm working on. These are very challenging pieces. There are 12 etudes in opus 10 and 12 in opus 25. I've been working on some of these pieces for about 35 years. And I'm really getting close to the point where I'm hoping to do a video blog or a series of videos about them, about how I've been trying to play them, showing how I'm failing as well. But also hopefully getting to the point quite soon where I'm going to be playing the complete set of opus 10. And I'm trying to work out how I'm going to do this. At the moment, I'm going to be working through my Patreon platform. If you'd like to know more about that, please visit my website and you'll find the link to my Patreon page. But this then is the Chopin Etude, opus 10, number 3. That was the Chopin Etude, Opus 10, number 3. Got away from me in the beginning. The middle part bit there took me by surprise as to how intense and how worked up it really gets. I'll have to do some more practicing. It gives me another opportunity to try it again. As I said, that project shows that I'll be detailing some of the work that I've been doing, shows not all the things that I'm getting right, but more of the things that I'm getting wrong. So it brings us to the end of this evening's hour performance of Piano Hour with myself, Christopher Duigan, coming to you from our home in Pietermaritzburg in South Africa. Thank you again to my partner Barry for the beautiful orchids, the beautiful backdrop. Thank you to Kevin Liddell, Big Beat, for supplying and sponsoring all the wonderful equipment and for running the show this evening. I'm sorry about my computer. This is my problem. My Mac seems to be on the blink for some reason, and all the graphics and the QR codes and everything that I set up to include in this evening's live stream seems to have failed completely. Who knows why? What an absolute mystery. We'll have to get to the bottom of that. It's never an exact science. Thank you for joining us tonight. As I say, if you are able to support us with donations, please visit our website, or you'll be able to follow all the links to Quicket, etc., or EFT, probably the easiest, and to help us support myself in these live stream during this lockdown period. We're coming up for 100 days, and things in this part of the world are really starting to get quite intense, and I'm certainly not going to be going anywhere. I hope you all stay at home. We'll still be coming to you with these twice weekly programs and taking you away into a beautiful, I will use the word beautiful, a beautiful space and magnificent opportunity just to dream and relax with some beautiful music for an hour on these 2 hours a week. So on Saturday, I'll be playing more beautiful melodies, popular classical melodies, but this time more piano, original pieces like Liebestraum, the very famous Rondo alla Turca. I might even play that Chopin Etude again and see if I can do a better job at it next time, to do some more practicing, and a number of other beautiful pieces of music like Clair de Lune. That'll be on Saturday at 6 p.m. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Let me just try the QR code once more. It's actually not